Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of the M-Wire Movie Week in Review. Today we're going to be discussing the Die Hard film franchise. I am TFG1 Mike, and as usual, I am joined by Steve/Megatron. Hello.
Howdy.
And as a super special guest is with us, Mike the Birdman Dodd from This Week in Geek and various other shit that he does. Hello.
What's up, motherfucker?
How are you?
I am alive, despite having the Black Plague of Death flu last week.
You mean the bird flu?
Yeah, it was terrible. It was the bird/swine flu from West Nile. It was terrible.
Oh, good lord.
With like a little bit of AIDS mixed in there. It was terrible.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
That's right, I went there. Ha
So what have you been up to this week, Birdman?
Well, this past week I decided to do a little bit of shopping, and I bought my first arcade machine this past week. I'm going to be picking it up next week. I'm going to be restoring an X-Men vs. Street Fighter cabinet back to original retail. I'm just looking for side art right now. I bought my marquee last night, which is the header that goes at the top of the machine. And I'm currently looking at different JAMA PCB boards. I found one that has Marvel vs. Capcom on it, Darkstalkers, and a bunch of other really cool games, including Mega Man the Power Fighters. Found this all for $200, so I'm going to be saving up my dimes and nickels to get this thing in the new year.
Yeah,
nice.
That's crazy.
It's really, really, really sick. It's really, really, really cool.
Where the hell are you going to put it, though?
In my living room. It's going to be awesome. I'm expanding our game collection here at Twig, so my next project will be a pinball machine.
Yes, and since this is your first, I think this is your first appearance on one of our shows since TFG 116, maybe?
TFG
yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah, and since that time, we have now become sound monkeys for Twig.
Yes, you have. I'm going to be putting you guys to work for our, not Jurassic Park, for our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle special we got coming up with Playmates and 4Kids at Entertainment helping us out with that one. And
awesome.
Maybe Ubisoft Montreal. Actually, I might be going to Montreal to take a look at the new TMNT Smash Up game, which will be really, really, really cool. There may even be a publicity stunt tied into it. We're going to have to wait and see.
Like that publicity stunt you did with that guy with the glasses.
Yep, it'll be interesting and intense. So hopefully I get to go to Montreal and see this really cool game come together, which is basically Smash Brothers but with Ninja Turtles.
That'd be so epic.
It looks pretty badass. So that's TMNT Smash Up coming out in, I think, September or October. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think the game has gone gold just yet.
Very cool. And what have you been up to this week, Steve?
Not much. Got my hands on a original copy of the G.I. Joe movie, and not a lot of editing, thankfully, compared to last week.
Yes, we had a record here at Geekcast Radio. we released like 14 shows in 1 week.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with us. So I think we're going to jump into today's topic, which is Die Hard. Well, today's topic is the Die Hard franchise. I guess we can go into some general memories of these films. At least the first three at first, because the fourth one, it was good, but I don't think it's as epic as the other ones.
I don't know. It was pretty goddamn cool.
Let's see. When did you guys first see these? The first three, or the first three films.
Well, I guess who wants to go first?
Yes, you can, Mike.
Okay, well, I first actually saw these movies. A guy I used to be friends with named Eric had told me about them, and I'm like, well, what the hell is this? So. Or actually, no. It actually goes back farther than that. Then I'll get into into that story. I originally saw Die Hard with a Vengeance in theaters. Yes, I'm an old prick. So I saw that, and I didn't know what the hell it really was. I mean, I'd seen clips of Die Hard 1 and 2. Didn't really know about the famous yippee-ki-yay motherfucker line, and it didn't really take with me back then. It was just a cool action movie, and So years and years later, I've got my first apartment, and it's Christmas time, and I'm spending Christmas by myself, and my friend Eric comes over to the house, and he brings these movies with him, the Die Hard trilogy at that time. And he's like, "Hey Mike, I got some cool Christmas movies." I'm like, "All right, you're kidding me. Christmas movies that are named Die Hard. Okay, I'll bite, sure." And we sit down and watch them, and I just thought they were like tremendously cool. I remember sitting down, having a few drinks, just watching these movies with shit blowing up and people getting shot, and it really reawoken my love of action movies like Michael Bay, and I enjoyed some of John Mick Tiernan's earlier work with Predator and whatnot. Although to a lesser extent, Last Action Hero, that movie sucked. So yeah, I just kind of got into it, and then Die Hard really came back for me when a friend of mine on Twitter, at Closet Geek Show, introduced me to the song Die Hard by Guys Night, right? And this was just before the fourth movie had come out, and I'm thinking, wow, this is awesome. So I watched the Die Hard movies again, this time with my girlfriend, and just fell in love with the film series yet again.
What about you, Steve? When was the first time you saw him?
Can't really recall when I first saw it. I remember seeing the first one. I used to sit and watch a lot of the 80s and early 90s movies with my dad. So I remember sitting there watching the first one of this and liking it. I don't think I'd seen the second one until like a couple years ago, and then I kind of had a refresher when you sent me the video.
Yeah.
Then for the most part, the third one I remember seeing kind of off and on, and usually would catch it from like halfway through.
Yeah.
And never had seen the full thing until now.
Oh.
And the fourth one, unfortunately, I have not had time to get my hands on it this week.
Oh. Yes, it's actually sitting right here next to me. I was watching it before we started recording tonight, so.
Same here, actually.
So I think we're just going to break each one down. I'm going to start with the first one and go all through the series. Die Hard's a 1988 action film, the first in the Die Hard film series. The film was produced by Lawrence and Charles Gordon, along with Joel Silver. Holy crap, Joel Silver had touched Die Hard? That's blasphemy.
Hey, man, he produced the friggin' Matrix.
He also screwed up the Batman films, but anyway.
Hey, bat nipples are awesome.
Especially with Batman's morphing looks in every movie.
Hell yes.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that. The movie is based on a 1979 novel by Roderick Thorpe entitled Nothing Lasts Forever. Itself a sequel to the book The Detective, which was previously made into a 1968 movie starring Frank Sinatra. The basic overall plot for Die Hard, I'm not going to read through all this because it's way, way too detailed, which, you gotta love Wikipedia for that. Basically, it's Christmas Eve. John McClane, who is played by Bruce Willis, is the detective with the New York City Police Department. He's going to LA to see his wife and his kids. He's meeting her at her job at Nakatomi Plaza, which is actually Fox Plaza out in Los Angeles. Basically, some terrorists come in, shoot the place up. John has to save the day. He gets shot at. He gets a whole bunch of glass in his foot. Some explosions happen. It's just an overall awesome movie. Eventually, he lets Hans drop off the roof. And the movie ends. There's a lot to say about it, but I'm trying to keep it short as far as the synopsis. Like I said, I don't want to read through all this. But overall, this movie was so cool. Actually, when I was watching it earlier this week, when they said Nakatomi or whatever the name of the company was, I thought they actually said Takara Tomy, the new Takara Transformers Japanese import people.
Oh, you nerd!
Shut up! Shut the hell up!
Wow.
Well, I didn't hear it right. I was like halfway across the room.
Sure.
And Hans Gruber, who is the terrorist leader, that will actually come back in the third film with his brother, Simon. Overall, I really enjoyed this film. I don't know if it's my favorite out of the four, but it was really super, super cool. What did you think, Mike, of the first one?
See, I thought the first one is definitely the strongest in the franchise. It's actually kind of funny. They actually use Die Hard in film school to teach you how to write a screenplay. Because of just the way that the film's structured. It's got really, really, really strong character structure in it. There's really, really, really smart dialogue. The action sequences are well placed out. It's a formulaic action movie that works. Yes. Right? And I think it's a strong movie. It's a fun movie. And it's one that you can watch over and over again and just enjoy for what it is. It's a fun ride. And there aren't too many action movies you can watch over and over again and just be consistently entertained by the same thing. Like, there's a lot of really funny supporting characters like Al and the computer hacker guy whose name escapes me at the moment.
It's Theo, who is played by Clarence Gilliard Jr., who also was in Matlock and Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh, God. Oh, my God, that is the guy from Walker.
I told you, it's Jimmy.
Oh, my God, what a pussy. Anyway, so, and it's just cool, though, because there aren't too many supporting characters that you really kind of latch onto. In fact, I used to have this huge, elaborate theory where basically I totally believe that Family Matters and the Die Hard films happen in the same universe.
I wonder where you could put Urkel in the Die Hard films.
See, I think Theo was actually his dad because the timeline kind of works out. And that's why he's constantly hanging around Laura and Carl Winslow, who's now in the Witness Protection Program, which explains why he's not in Die Hard 3 or 4. I've got a theory, man.
What about you, Steve? What did you think about the first film overall?
Overall, I think it's just a pretty badass movie. It's definitely still holds up over all the action movies that come out today.
Oh yeah.
It kicks the crap out of anything that comes out today. I mean, if you put Die Hard against a movie like, say, The Marine or 12 Rounds, like, what the fuck? This movie kicks the crap out of it.
Yeah, those don't even look they don't even make me want to sit there and watch it. Whereas Die Hard, I could probably sit there and watch over and over and never even think twice about not watching the other movies you just mentioned.
Yeah. And I guess we should go down the cast list that I have here. Obviously, Bruce Willis plays Detective John McClane. Alan Rickman plays Hans Gruber. Bonnie Bedelia plays Holly Gennaro McClane. Reginald Vell Johnson plays Sergeant Al Powell.
And then the rest of the guys are pussies.
Well, with a couple exceptions, you got Clarence Gilliard Jr., like I said, which he actually had some pretty funny lines in this. And then you got the now deceased Paul Gleason as the Deputy Police Chief Dwayne T. Robinson.
Really?
Yes.
When did he die?
He's been dead a couple of years now.
Well, God damn, I didn't know that.
I think he has. I'd have to click on his name here in my little...
Let's find out. Is Paul Gleason dead?
All right.
Yes, he died 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Where were you on that one? You completely missed the bus there.
How'd he die? Oh, wow. He died of lung cancer associated with asbestos.
Ew.
So he died because his dad used to work on sites, and he used to work there as a construction worker as a teenager.
Ooh, that's a nasty way to go.
Oh my God, the guy from the Breakfast Club is dead. But we can rest assured that Barry Manilow got his wardrobe back.
Oh God!
Wow.
I'm not really going to go into the production here because I mean we all know that what
movies are made.
Yeah, movies are made. But I will go into how the title has been changed for different market releases. In Thailand, it was called Big Building Fight.
which is the best name fucking ever for any movie of all time. I'm sorry, Big Building Fight. I'm actually been looking on eBay for a Die Hard poster like this for years. Haven't found it yet, but I will.
All of the other ones I probably can't pronounce, so I'm not even going to try, since I don't speak any other languages. The music for this, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, is featured prominently as Kamen's score throughout the film in many guises and variations. Thematic variations on Singing in the Rain are also featured as a theme for the character Theo. Basing his score around the thematic variations on well-known pieces is a conceit that Kamen would repeat in Die Hard 2, which featured Jean Sibelius's, I can't even pronounce that, so I'm going to try. Anyway, and Die Hard with a Vengeance, which featured variations on the Civil War marching tune When Johnny Comes Marching Home. Due to the film's Christmas setting, the score also features sleigh bells and some cues. Bach's Brandenburg Concerto No. 3 is played during the reception at the party at the start of the film. Near the beginning of the film, limousine driver Argyle plays the rap song Christmas in Hollis, performed by Run DMC, and it was first released in 1987. The only thing I really noticed out of these films was some of the main themes. I didn't really notice the other music that much.
See, I didn't know they used cues from the Aliens movies in this, which was some of the stuff that James Horner did for James Cameron's action epic Aliens back in 1986. I found that was actually really, really, really cool.
Yes. And just going on to the reception, when Die Hard was released, it was considered one of the best action films of its era. The film currently holds a 94% quote-unquote fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. This is probably in part due to the fact that there are few artificial plot points in the story. The film features Willis as a sympathetic hero with typical human weaknesses, unlike the overpowered heroes exemplified by Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Wow. It is noted for including humor as a complement to the action and dramatic elements of the story. It is said to have reinvented the action genre and set the stage for 90s action thriller movies such as Under Siege, Sudden Death, Cliffhanger, Passenger 57, and Speed. Die Hard on a... I don't even know what that is. Anyway.
Okay, well, basically what it was, like, when there were all these action movies coming out in the 90s, because you saw a really big flood of them from, like, 1990, so I'd say about 1998, you would see, it's like Die Hard on a bus, Die Hard on a boat, Die Hard on a plane sort of thing.
Okay.
Although Sudden Death, I think, is actually one of those movies you could very easily compare to Die Hard, obviously because I'm a Jean-Claude Van Damme aficionado. But, if you watch Sudden Death and Die Hard side by side, you would be surprised just how many similarities there are, and it's kind of freaky.
Wow. I didn't know this. Die Hard was listed at number 39 on the AFI's 100 Years, 100 Thrills list of the most thrilling American movies of all time in 2001. Oh, that's interesting. And in 2003, Hans Gruber was listed at number 46 on the AFI's 100 Years, 100 Heroes and Villains special. However, Roger Ebert gave it less than flattering review, giving a mere 2 stars and criticizing the stupidity of the characters and satirical view the film takes on authority figures.
That's because he sucks.
Well, he's a douchebag.
Yeah, well, all those critics are douchebags.
Yes, pretty much.
Except
Yeah.
Actually, I'm about to say, who am I kidding? I'm a giant douchebag, but that's okay. Moving on.
Well, I know this is a little side note, but all these critics are such douchebags. I mean, everybody gave Revenge of the Fallen a bad review, and look how much money that thing's made.
I mean, granted, that's not the best movie, but at the same time, it's not a pile of shit like everybody's claiming, like all these critics are claiming. So I never go with these big ones that are in the newspapers or on television.
Yep. I'm sorry. Roger Ebert is a guy who basically appreciates a film on its artistic merits, and I think this is the type of guy that likes The English Patient, The Piano, and Captain Corelli's Mandolin. I don't expect him to enjoy Die Hard or Passenger 57 on the same level, some of us is. And when you think about it, it's not that action movies are made for lowbrow people where shit blows up and looks pretty. They're meant to be a fun experience. So I think that's the thing where when like Ebert gives a review, you have to take that in mind, is that he isn't the typical movie-going audience.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's one of these, stiff upper lip people.
He's like, my word, look at this film. If you appreciate Citizen Kane. No, shut the fuck up. That I heard was awesome.
I'm just going to go through some of the nominations. The movie was not Die Hard, the original, was nominated for Best Sound Effects, Editing, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, Best Visual Effects. For a film that people gave mixed reviews for, or whatever, at least it was nominated for all those awards. John McClane's catchphrase, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, was voted number 96 of the 100 greatest movie lines by Premiere Magazine in 2007. On June 22nd, 2007, an issue of Entertainment Weekly, it was named the best action movie of all time. Wow.
It's kind of hard to disagree with that. I mean, can you think of any other action movie where you have this much fun in it?
Probably.
It's hard to.
But I'm just biased on that. But anyway.
Well, that's because you like Nickelback. It's okay.
Shut the hell up.
You smug son of a...
Anyway, final thoughts on the first film?
If you don't own this on Blu-ray, do yourself a favor and get it.
Okay.
Because you're going to see it in HD.
Because, what'd you say, Steve?
I was going to say, if you don't own it at all, then you're a douchebag and need to get it.
I will come to your house and beat the crap out of you if you don't go out and buy this right now.
With a copy of it, right? You're going to come to my house and beat the crap out of me with a copy of it, right?
Exactly. I'm going to get a bag with yippee-ki-yay motherfucker on it, fill it with doorknobs, and hit you with it. Until
and bring John McClane.
Exactly. It'll be amazing. Like, seriously, this is one of those movies that I think belongs in every film collection. I mean, even if you're not a huge fan of the action genre, you can appreciate what this movie did for the genre, and it really gave Bruce Willis his real start as a main box office draw. I mean, like, he was just coming off of Moonlighting off of this, and after this he did movies like Last Man Standing, 12 Monkeys, and obviously Die Hard 2. He was becoming a box office name because of Die Hard, and this is one of those movies where he'll be remembered for the rest of his career. I mean, no one's going to remember the Disney's The Kid compared to Die Hard.
Oh, yes, very much.
Yeah.
And do you have any other final thoughts, Steve?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, well...
Very elegantly spoken.
Yes, and this is more elegantly spoken than that.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Next up, we're going to talk about Die Hard 2, Die Harder. This one, before I get into the basic overall plot, I guess, or if somebody else wants to do the plot, that's fine. This one, I watched it again this week. It was okay, but it didn't really hold up to the first one, I didn't think.
It has some really cool ideas in it. It's just not as fully well explored as some of the other ones. However, this movie has the best TV edit of all time. If you can find this on TV around Christmas time, watch it. You will laugh your friggin' balls off. Because right at the end where he blows up the friggin' airplane, where he says, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker," in the TV edit, and Steve, when you edit this, you have to grab this clip off of YouTube. It goes like this. It's like, "Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon," and it makes no fucking sense. It's the funniest thing ever. And when they're arguing in the beginning where he's talking to friggin' Sipowicz there, Dennis Franz, he's like, "Yeah, well, joke on you, and if we weren't hip deep in snow," or like, "Hey," and then in the real way, he's like, "We're waist deep in shit because you wouldn't move your fat fucking ass," and he's like, "If you hadn't moved your fat feet." Yeah. It's so stupid, but it's the funniest TV edit of all time. Go on YouTube and look it up.
Yeah. So who wants to read the plot for this one, or basically summarize this one up?
1, 2, 3, not me.
Steve, I guess you're up.
Basically,
Steve.
Yes.
Okay.
You said you want me to do the plot?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically summarize the film.
Basically, John McClane, while waiting on Christmas Eve for his wife to arrive, spots some goofy-ass men in army fatigues passing packages, and he follows them around in the airport and discovers that one of the two men is a mercenary who was thought to be killed. And, so basically, he just ends up finding these guys. Yeah, I don't know.
Wow, that's a great plot synopsis there, Steve. Basically, what happens is they're trying to get this general who is coming in from this third world country. They're extraditing him back to the U.S. for charges, and these military guys are trying to free him. And there's a whole double cross with another character that is supposed to be a part of the federal unit, and blah, 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 I guess. This movie wasn't... I watched it. It was pretty good. It does have some good moments, but it wasn't as good as the first one.
No.
But it's got the T-1000 in it.
Does it really?
Robert Patrick, he's the guy who shows up and goes, a sitting duck, and he gets his head, and he blows away one of the, friggin' SWAT team guys. Plus, it's got Sipowicz in it.
Well, okay. I will give the movie the fact that it does have Dennis Franz, and the two of them together doing the scenes is just awesome. But other than that, the overall plot sucks.
I thought it did have some really cool kills. I mean, come on. I think this is one of the first movies where you see a guy get an icicle driven through his head.
Yeah, that is true.
And that's just awesome. Plus, he blows up a plane using a lighter. Now, as a little bit of, trivia here, according to the Wikipedia article, this was the first movie to have a digitally changed matte painting. Oh. And that's basically where they took place on the runway. They changed the background for it, which I think is kind of cool, just because this was the beginning of the dawn of digital effects and having things really change. I mean, yeah, it wasn't as cool as, say, The Abyss by James Cameron, but it was still pretty cool, the fact they were using this to replace backgrounds.
Yeah. That was that was pretty cool. Like I said, I watched it, and as soon as I forget what his name is, the guy that I've seen him in a bunch of other things, the black guy that does the double cross because he's part of O'Reilly's team.
That guy.
Yeah, I've seen him in so many other things, and I can't think of his damn name, and I don't know which one on the cast list that he is, but up until the point where I actually didn't remember that he was the double crosser. And then I was like, oh, shit, that's right.
I know the guy you mean. Yeah, he's one of those guys who always gets typecast as, I'm going to be the traitor. Ha ha.
I'm like, but who was in this? Holy crap. Sorry, Mike.
See, one of the great things about this movie that I'm really happy that they brought back was they brought back Richard Thornburg. William Atheron. I thought that was a very nice touch.
Yeah, I didn't really care for the Thornburg character in either film.
That's because you're a communist.
No, not. He's just a horrible character.
The guy's name was John Amos.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just looking at some of his other roles that he's done. Or no, was it? Yeah, 1970. Yeah, he's 69 years old now. Holy crap.
Major Grant. Yeah, okay. What did you think of the movie overall, Steve, for this one?
Definitely was not my favorite out of the three that I did watch. And like you guys says, it does have a lot of good action scenes in it and chase scenes and everything else, but and I did find that pretty bad TV edit, and the voice for it doesn't even sound like Bruce Willis at all when he says Mr. Falcon. It's completely absurd, but yeah, overall it's not my favorite movie.
And Mike, I do have to kind of correct you. He didn't just use a lighter, he had made the plane leak gasoline.
Well, still, that's pretty awesome. I mean, sure, it wasn't him banging two sticks together, but...
Well, yeah, he takes like a 50-cent lighter and throws it, and
says Mr. Falcon, and the shit blows up.
yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and go into the reception here. While lacking the huge impact of the original, the movie was a box office success and received reasonably positive critical reception. Again, Roger Ebert. While nothing not insubstantial plot, credibility problems with the movie, described it as terrific entertainment. Joel Siegel of Good Morning America stated that the film is the best of the blockbusters of 1990. What else came in 90 that was better? It garnered a quote-unquote fresh 62% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The film had a budget of $70 million and had a wide release in 2,507 theaters, making $21.7 million in its opening weekend. Die Hard 2 has domestically made $117.5 million and $239.5 million worldwide, almost doubling that of the first movie. Maxim named the plane crash as the number 2 on their list of most horrific movie plane crashes. Wow. Number 2, huh? That's pretty cool, though. And silence. This is where you guys supposed to say shit.
I like puppies. No, and kitties. No, see, the thing with like Die Hard 2, Die Harder, it didn't have the same memorable feel to it. I mean, this is one movie I thought literally just dragged the fuck on. I didn't think this movie was like very well paced.
No, not at all.
And I don't know, like I said, there are some really cool moments in it, but it's ultimately probably near the bottom of my Die Hard to watch list, just because, like I say, it's just not as fun as the other ones. I mean, it just doesn't have the same energy, the same excitement, the same tension that the other ones have. And when we start talking about Die Hard 3, there's just not the same chemistry there. He needs to have a sidekick sometimes to set him off. Well, this one didn't really have anybody. He had the stupid guy in the coat for all of 10 minutes. Big deal.
You mean the maintenance guy?
Yeah, the maintenance guy. Whoopie fucking do.
Yeah, that's not a sidekick for McClane.
Exactly. He was there for all of 5 minutes, and yet, part of the Die Hard films is that he has someone he's working with. I mean, in the first one, he had Al, and this one, he was more or less on his own. Okay, well, he kind of had Dennis Franz, but he wasn't really there. Right? Like, he wasn't a very strong supporting character, and this movie just had a really weak supporting cast.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, the actors that are in this are obviously all very famous actors, and we've seen them in a lot of other stuff, as far as, Dennis Franz being Sipowicz and John Amos and Robert Patrick and all that other stuff. But, I mean, the supporting cast really sucked on this one. When the film was shown at a cinema in Pretoria, South Africa, a light airplane was hoisted onto the roof of the local multiplex as a promotion for the film. Okay, as far as promotions for films go, that's kind of nuts. The studio removed some violent footage to avoid an X rating from the MPAA prior to the film's release. I wonder if that footage is on YouTube anywhere.
Actually, what's really weird, Mike? I was just doing a little bit of research on this now. This movie was directed by Rennie Harlin, and this guy is a Finnish film director. The reason this is important, because I did bring this up earlier. You know how I was making fun of the movie 12 Rounds?
Yeah.
He's the director of that.
Yes. Yeah.
Plus, he also did A Nightmare on Elm Street for the Dream Master, which I thought was really badass. And it's weird, though, just looking at the director's filmography, I'm surprised Rennie Harlin didn't do a better job with this movie. Because he went on to make other really cool movies, like one which starred Sam Jackson was called The Long Kiss Goodnight, which was actually filmed an hour from my house. It's really cool. But he also did the Covenant, which was Dragon Ball Z Pretty Boys, more or less. But it was still a ridiculous action flick, and yet with this movie, he just didn't seem to have that. He knows how to construct action, but not direct cast.
Yes, very much so. And I do have to defend 12 Rounds. It was a fairly good, just, if you want to go see an action movie. And again, action movies aren't something you go see for a story. I mean, yeah, it's great if there's a story with it, but you basically go for the explosions. Like, you're not going to go see Transformers for a story. You're going to go see it for giant fucking Devastator balls, for Christ's sake.
Don't even get me started on that.
Yeah.
That's a topic for another episode. So, I think we're going to move on, and I'm going to try to play a clip here.
Oh, this feeling I have. Ouch. When you get those feelings, insurance companies start to go bankrupt.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Alright, we're going to move on to Die Hard with a Vengeance. This is a 1995 action film, and the second sequel in the Die Hard series. It was produced and directed by John McTiernan, who directed the first film. Stars Bruce Willis as NYPD Detective John McClane. Vengeance also stars Samuel L. Jackson, as Willis's reluctant partner, Zeus Carver. Jeremy Irons as the main villain, Simon Gruber. The film was written by Jonathan Hensley and was followed by Lou Freer, Die Hard, in 2007. It should be noted, and this is probably in the information below the plot, that this is the only film out of the four that was actually filmed in New York, where John is a detective. And silence. So that was pretty cool. So basically the plot here is, after a bomb explodes in the early morning at Bonwit Teller department store in New York City, a man calling himself quote-unquote Simon telephones the police claiming responsibility and demands that they play a game of Simon Says to prevent any more explosions. Simon orders suspended NYPD Lieutenant John McClane walk through Harlem wearing a sandwich board displaying a racist slurs, which we'll get into later. Before McClane can be beaten to death by a group of outraged residents, Harlem's shopkeeper and black supremacist Zeus Carver, played by Samuel L. Jackson, steps in to rescue McClane, and together they return to the precinct. There, Simon calls the precinct and takes credit for the Estrolite-like bicomponent of explosive discovered in a major park. Further investigation reveals that several thousand pounds of it were stolen the night before. Oh, that's lovely. Simon has enough explosives to level a city block. As part of the later storyline, it is also revealed that 14 dump trucks were stolen the night before. Simon demands that Carver join McClane for the remainder of his quote-unquote game, directing them to a payphone at 72nd Street subway station. I'm not really going to read that much more of the paragraph because I didn't break it up that well, but I mean, just these opening scenes, what did you guys think? Mike, do you want to go first?
See, I kind of thought this one had a different feel than some of the other Die Hard movies. Mind you, I did have some fun with this movie. Like, I don't know, I liked having the inclusion of the Zeus character. I just thought he was a great parallel to John's, and, you know, he was just trying to keep him going, keep him out of trouble, but at the same time, you're going to help me because I'm going to lie to you about where we found the first bomb.
Yeah, really.
He's like, you motherfucker, which I thought that was kind of awesome, though. But just having Sam Jackson in this movie, I think, sets this up, you know, to be better than, obviously, Die Hard 2. And obviously with John McTiernan coming back on this one.
Oh, yeah.
It really set it apart from Rennie Harlin's Die Hard 2. And it's actually kind of funny. Supposedly, this movie was supposed to be a Lethal Weapon movie. And I can tell you why it wasn't in my mind. Because if you watch all the Lethal Weapon movies, Richard Donner has a thing for helicopters. There weren't nearly enough helicopters in this movie right until the like very end of it.
Yes.
But I'm serious. Go back and watch all the Lethal Weapon movies. You'll see a crap load of helicopters.
I am agreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. This has got to be my favorite out of the entire franchise, just because of the simple fact that it bridges the first and the third film. It's like the second one never even happened, even though it did. And if you look at all four of these films, and I know this is basically just the discussion for the third film, but if you look at all four of them, there's basically no overall deep plot. All of them are basically robbery attempts cleverly hidden at first. Because you got in the first film you have Gruber, Hans Gruber, trying to steal the platinum or bearer bonds or whatever the hell it was in there. The second film you have them trying to release the president, but I thought that there was another plot in there where they were trying to steal something as well. This one you have the guy trying to steal gold, and then the fourth one it's electronic information. So they're all pretty much the same, even though they are different. What did you think of the film overall, Steve?
I definitely like like how the action was bumped up in this one. I like the fact that they had Samuel L. Jackson in the movie, which made it even more badass. Between him and his partnership with Bruce Willis's character as well. So I mean that was an awesome dynamic going through the entire movie.
Yeah. Oh yes, and I guess we can go ahead and get into the whole reverse racism of this film. As I said in part of the plot, Zeus is a black supremacist, and it's just whatever. I mean, I really don't care. I was actually shocked to see. I haven't actually watched this one all the way through in a very long time. Like as far as like not an edited version on TV. Because unfortunately I don't actually own these films yet. It's not that I don't want them, it's I don't have the means to get them. Anyways, it's very weird for me to see the whole reverse racism thing, because you don't see that often in films or television or stuff like that. So basically what ends up happening is we find out that Simon is he the older brother or the younger brother of Hans?
I think he's the younger brother, I think.
Oh, I thought he was the older one. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. They're both dead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're both dead. Actually, I'm gonna skip the cast list. I'm gonna go down to the alternate endings that I have here. The alternative ending to the one shown in the final film was made and can be found on the special edition DVD. In this version, it is presumed that the robbery succeeds and that McClane is used as the scapegoat for everything that went wrong. Fired from the NYPD and after more than 20 years on the force, and the FBI has even taken away his pension. Nevertheless, he still manages to track Simon using the batch number on the bottle of aspirins and confronts him in a cafe in Hungary. In this version, Simon has double-crossed most of his accomplices, gotten the loot to a safe hiding place, Nova Scotia, and has the gold turned to statuettes of a famous landmark, in this case, the Empire State Building, in order to smuggle it out of the country. But he is still tracked down to his foreign hideaway. This is very similar to Alec Guinness's situation in the British heist movie, The Lavender Hill Mob, made some 45 years earlier, in which the stolen gold is turned into Eiffel Tower paperweights. McClane is keen to take his problems out on Simon, whom he invites to play a game called McClane Says. This involves a form of Russian roulette, which small Chinese rocket launcher with sights removed, meaning it cannot be determined which end is which. McClane then asks Simon some riddles similar to the ones he played in New York. When Simon gets a riddle wrong, McClane forces him at gunpoint to fire the launcher, which fires a rocket through Simon, killing him. Of course, McClane had been wearing a flak jacket, which was the answer to the final riddle. What could he have brought to the meeting to save his life? So even if Simon had pointed the launcher in the right way, it is likely that the relatively low-velocity rocket wouldn't have caused McClane enough injury to prevent him from shooting Simon. In the DVD audio commentary, screenwriter Jonathan Hensley claims that this version was dropped because the studio thought it showed a more cruel and menacing side to McClane, a man who killed for revenge rather than in self-defense. Hensley's intention was to show that the events in New York and the subsequent repercussions had tilted him psychologically. This alternative ending set some time after the main events of the movie and would have marked a serious break from the Die Hard formula, in which the plot unfolds over a period of roughly 12 hours. I did see, I believe a friend of mine had the special edition DVD at some point, and I did see the alternative ending. I didn't really care for it. It wasn't really something that I liked the actual ending of the movie. What about?
See, I kind of thought the one that they went with was really good.
Oh yeah.
And it just come on, he dies in Canada, haha. And that just makes me feel awesome because me being Canadian and all. But
Yes.
I don't know. I thought the ending to this one it suits who John is, right? I mean, I can't see him spending thousands of dollars to go after this guy, right? It's just he would have got away, I think, and John would have been like, ah, shit, well, whatever. But by, him fighting him in the end, I think that just makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And I guess we can go into the reception here really quick. Die Hard with a Vengeance had a budget of an estimated $90 million. Had a wide release opening in 2,525 theaters, making $22,162,000, made about $23 million in its opening weekend in the U.S. Die Hard with a Vengeance made $100 million in the USA and another $261 million worldwide for a gross revenue of $361 million. Critical reception was similar to that of the previous film. Most critics were in favor that the film was an effective actioner, though not up to standards of the first film. Some critics, however, felt the film relied too heavily on unrealistic coincidences. Fans and critics are divided over whether or not this film is better than the second. Some who were disappointed by Die Hard 2 felt that this was an improvement, while others felt it was a step down in quality. See, for me, when I first saw Die Hard 2, I'm like, what the fuck is this? When I saw the second film, and when I saw this one, I'm like, okay, this should have been the second movie.
I would agree with you. I mean, this movie, it was a step up in terms of what was accomplished with Die Hard 2. And I don't know, just the fact that this one, I think it had a better marketing campaign than like Die Hard 2, I thought, because I could remember seeing advertisements for this on TV at the time. This was the first one I actually saw theatrically too, so maybe my vision of this is just a little bit skewed.
Oh yeah. What about you, Steve?
I definitely like the third one better than the second one. Second one, I didn't get really into it as much as I did the third.
Yeah, I'm the same way, so we're all in agreement. Here's a little bit of trivia for you guys. The scene where McClane goes to Harlem with the sandwich board was filmed on location. The writing on the board said, "I hate everybody," on some of the versions displayed on television, but the original version, which said, "I hate niggers," was seen in the theatrical and home video releases. I can see why that they would change it, obviously, for TV.
See, I don't think it's that big a deal, and I'm not saying that, nigger's a good word by any stretch of the imagination, but, considering the context that it's in, who the fuck cares? I mean, censor motherfucker and censor the word shit, but I don't know. I personally think it makes... It takes out a plot point. I mean, yes, it's a visual plot point, but I don't see the point.
Yeah, and then another bit of trivia is during a conversation between Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis, McClane states that he has nothing better to do than smoke cigarettes and watch Captain Kangaroo. This is in reference to the song that was playing on the radio, the Statler Brothers' Flowers on the Wall, written by Lou DeWitt. In Pulp Fiction, when Bruce Willis ran over Ving Rhames, Jackson and Willis both starred in Pulp Fiction. Let's see, Bonnie Bedelia, who played McClane's wife, Holly, in the first two films, chose not to return for the third film, but she is mentioned near the end of the film when John needed to make a call to her. Although McClane is a member of the New York Police Department, this would be the only Die Hard movie to actually set in New York City. That's what I said earlier. This actually is the second time it targets McClane to avenge the death of a brother. Throughout Die Hard, Carl had his attention set on killing McClane after McClane killed his brother Tony early on in the film. And the last bit, this is the last film in the series to receive an R rating by the MPAA. which I think is kind of sad and stupid, considering almost all movies now that either get a PG-13 rating or whatever, they end up having unrated versions. I mean, because I can sit here and I can hold the fourth movie DVD case in my hand and it says 2-disc unrated.
But yet you don't get that one on Blu-ray, I don't think, which I think is a little bit strange.
I don't know. I don't do Blu-ray, so I would not know. So I think that, do you guys have any final thoughts? Why don't we go with you, Steve?
Not really any final thoughts, but I would say that between the first three, that the first and the third would be definitely must-sees.
What about you, Mike?
See, I think Die Hard with a Vengeance gets a bad rap, just because I personally think it's the forgotten stepchild of the Die Hard series, just because you don't see a lot of people talk about it. But I would definitely agree that it's one of those games that you really should see. I mean, obviously, if you're going to watch the first Die Hard, just do yourself a favor and just finish out the series, right?
Oh, yeah. Very much so. And we are going to move on with this clip.
Hello to your brother.
And finally up today is Die Hard 4.0. I'm sorry, I completely disagree with the American version title, Live Free, Die Hard. It doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't really do it for me.
What?
It just doesn't, I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Die Hard 4.0 is more in line with the actual story, because it's all computer-based and hacker-based and all that other stuff. Is a 2007 action film, the fourth installment in the Die Hard series. The film was directed by Len Wiseman and stars Bruce Willis as John McClane, the protagonist of the first three films. Other cast members include Justin Long, Timothy Olyphant, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Maggie Q. The storyline takes place 19 years after the first film, sees McClane facing a gang of cyber-terrorists. The film is based on the 1997 article A Farewell to Arms, written for Wired magazine by John Carlin. The film's North American release date was June 27, 2007. After the project was stalled due to the September 11, 2001 attacks, production eventually began, and the film title was switched several times. A variety of visual effects were used for action sequences, even though Wiseman and Willis stated that they wanted to limit the amount of CGI in the film. In separate incidences during filming, both Willis and his stunt double were injured. Unlike the prior three films in the series, the U.S. rating was PG-13 rather than R. An unrated version of Live Free or Die Hard containing profanity and violence not included in the theatrical versions was made available for the DVD release. Live Free or Die Hard received generally positive reviews, earning 81% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes and 69 out of 100 from Metacritic. The film had a total international box office gross receipts of $383.5 million, making it the highest-grossing Die Hard film. For the DVD release, 20th Century Fox pioneered a new kind of DRM digital copy that tries to weaken the incentives for consumers to learn how to rip discs by offering them a downloadable version with studio-imposed restrictions. The score for the film was released on July 2nd, 2007. Before we get into the plot, I like this movie, but it's not my favorite. I would have to say that the first and the third films are my favorite. Second film I could pretty much do without. And this one, it's a good action film. And I like how they bridge the gap between McClane and his daughter. But I posted on Twitter a couple of hours ago, McClane's character, the character of John McClane has not aged well. He just hasn't. Thoughts, Mike?
See, I really think this is probably my second favorite of the Die Hard movies, but I do agree, John McClane doesn't translate well into the world of 2007, just because the action hero since the first 1988 movie has evolved so much, and yes, John McClane's character was sort of the anti-hero at the time, and how you just see how he's evolved into current day. He doesn't sit as well as he used to. You can tell the character's uncomfortable in the situations that he's in. But I think this movie did a lot with what it had, and I think think the fact of using cyber terrorism against a analog cop was a very interesting idea, and placing him against characters that were basically like us, our super nerds, was a very interesting contrast to it. And you could see McClane showing his age and knowing that the age of the analog hero is coming to an end, right? Like, would he compete against other characters like, say, Jack Bauer, Jason Bourne, or James Bond? Probably not.
No, he probably wouldn't, but at the same time, he could probably shoot all their nuts off.
Well, yes, this is also true.
I'm sorry, Jack Bauer versus John McClane. John McClane would kill him.
Excuse me? Did you just no.
Yes, I just did say that.
This doesn't happen.
Yes, it does happen. Hell,
John McClane would lose against Jack Bauer, but I'm pretty sure he'd kill Jason Bourne.
Never. You're just a Bauer fan. Hell, he's dying of cancer or whatever anyway.
No, stem cell research, they saved him. He'll be back in season 8. This fall on Fox.
Yes.
Or Dr. House will save him or something.
Oh, God, I hate that show. Anyways.
You suck. Yeah. Continue.
The basic overall plot, like Mike said, is basically it's cyber terrorism. It's this whole thing where apparently after 9/11 there was 3 phases put into government security, and if you took 1 or 2 of them out, they could recover, but not if you took out all 3 at the same time. And it's basically called a fire sale. And as I said a second ago, a number of hackers, including Matthew Farrell, played by Justin Long, upload various pieces of programming to a woman named Mai, played by Maggie Q. Thereafter, all the same hackers are killed by planted explosives. Which I thought that was kind of ingenious to do that, though. Every time you hit the delete key, your computer explodes and you die. It's actually kind of scary.
You could get rid of a lot of people that way.
Exactly. The next morning, Mai's boss and lover, Thomas Gabriel, played by Timothy Olyphant, gives orders to initiate his organization's plans. The first phase of Gabriel's plot involves taking control of the transportation grid, most particularly traffic lights and the stock market. The Federal Bureau of Investigation responds by initiating nationwide roundup of all known top hackers. McClane is assigned to bring in Farrell, who lives in Camden, New Jersey. His unexpected arrival stops Farrell from unknowingly triggering the planted explosives. With McClane on the scene, Mai orders assassins to attack. McClane is able to extract Farrell and kill most of their attackers. About that first scene when they're in his apartment, first of all, McClane breaks a collectible.
Yeah, I died a little bit on the inside.
And then after all the destruction and everything else, a Terminator skull drops on the delete key by accident, blowing up the place. That was kind of funny. So basically, McClane gets Farrell to the FBI. Both of them eventually have to go on an adventure to basically stop these cyber terrorists. And, of course, Lucy, who is now all grown up, apparently. The last time we've seen her character was in the first Die Hard film. She gets stuck in an elevator, and then the bad guys get her, and it now becomes a race to actually stop them and get Lucy back. I think one of the most craziest scenes for me in this film was when Maggie Q's character went down the elevator shaft, and then John sent the SUV after her.
That was awesome.
One of his lines is like to Gabriel, Thomas Gabriel, he says, "Oh no, that, thick-ass Asian chick, she went down an elevator shaft and an SUV is crammed up her ass."
I think it was that hot little Asian kung fu bitch or something like that.
Yeah.
I laughed my ass off at that line. I thought that was funny. He's like, hey, those kung fu bitches gotta be kind of hard to come by. Sorry for that.
Yeah, really. And I guess we should mention, I'll mention this part of the plot. Warlock, who is played by Kevin Smith, who apparently is a huge Bruce Willis and Die Hard fan, who has power generators ready in case of an outage, locates the program Farrell created for Gabriel, and is being used in a Social Security Administration building at Woodlawn, Maryland. An unlikely target. They discover that it is actually a front for a highly classified government facility which Gabriel instituted during his tenure at the National Security Agency. In case of total computer system failure, such as the one Gabriel manufactured, every critical personal and financial record across the country is sent to servers there to create a backup. Gabriel's men take over the facility and start downloading a copy. Warlock is also able to explain Gabriel's motivation, a talented computer hacker. He was once a top expert for the NSA who identified America's vulnerability to cyber warfare. However, he was fired and his reputation was smeared. I'm sorry, but I hope to God the government has backups in more than one place. Because if you look at any of the films since, say, Enemy of the State, this film included, Live Free or Die included, all this stuff that the government has, all this technology, holy crap, that's scary.
See, it wouldn't surprise me if some of this stuff actually exists. I mean, I'm a huge listener of Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, and they talk about conspiracies like this. It wouldn't surprise me if the government does have this level of technology doing all this type of stuff anyway, but I'm pretty sure they do have multiple backups.
Let's hope. And finally, to basically end this little plot synopsis, McClane dispatches all but one of Gabriel's men, but Gabriel still holds Lucy and Farrell hostage. Gabriel shoots McClane in the shoulder and makes McClane watch as he prepares to kill Lucy and Farrell. However, when Gabriel grinds his gun into McClane's wound, McClane fires it again through his shoulder, killing Gabriel. The last henchman is shot by Farrell. Afterwards, to McClane's chagrin, Lucy and Farrell show interest in each other. Overall, I think this has the best plot out of the four. As far as story goes, I'm not too keen on the whole, John McClane being in the 21st century type of thing, because he's obviously, like you said, Mike, an 80s, 90s action hero. I don't know. What did you think, Mike?
See, I don't know. I think the movie did well with what it did, and in terms of plot, it was the most well thought out, but I still think the first one it has more tension, and this one, I didn't really get a sense of real urgency in this one. And there were some really cool moments with Gabriel, but Timothy Olyphant is a terrible bad guy.
Yeah, he's better.
He works at. You know what he comes across to me as, Mike? As a really snarky clerk from Best Buy. He doesn't. He's not threatening. I mean, Hans Gruber was threatening, even to a lesser extent the guy from Die Hard 2. Simon Gruber was sly and slimy, but threatening. This guy, he takes your parking spot at Target. You'd punch him in the face. He's not scary.
Yeah, very.
In short, he's a pussy.
Very much so. What about you, Steve?
I haven't actually seen this movie, so.
Actually seen the movie. Okay, just from our mini description of the plot and discussion, what do you think?
Overall, it sounds like a pretty fun movie to see, and a little bit more thought out than some of the previous editions of the Die Hard franchise.
Yeah. Like we said, the plot was better as far as the other ones, but it still boils down to petty theft is what it really boils down to.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is. Going into the rating of the film, the first three films in the Die Hard series rated R by the MPAA. Live Free or Die Hard, however, sparked controversy because it was edited to obtain a PG-13 rating. In some cases, character dialogue was cut or muted in post-production to reduce profanity. Director Len Wiseman commented on the rating, saying it was about 3 months into it into production, and I hadn't even heard that it was PG-13. But in the end, I was just trying to make the best Die Hard movie, not really thinking so much about what the rating would be. Bruce Willis was upset with the studio's decision, stating, "I really wanted this one to live up to the promise of the first one, which I always thought was the only really good one." I'm sorry, that's saying something. When the lead actor and the lead character says that you only think that the very first film was a really good one out of all the other ones you've done, that's saying something. That's a studio decision that is becoming more and more common because they're trying to reach a broader audience. It seems almost a courageous move to give an R rating these days, but we still made it a pretty hardcore smash film. Willis said he thought that viewers unaware that it was not an R-rated film would not suspect that, watching it due to the level and intensity of action and the usage of profanity, albeit less than previous films. As far as the rating goes, who cares? I know, broader audience, these films were never something you would show children. I mean, even...
Well, maybe you wouldn't.
Huh?
I said, well, maybe you wouldn't. Oh, God. See, now, that being said, the first movie I ever saw with a clear memory was Friday the 13th Part 5 for me.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the kids of today could handle a Die Hard movie. I mean, other than the language, I mean, seriously, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And I think the director, Len Wiseman, did a fairly good job with this movie. I mean, all things considered. I mean, and this is a guy who started out as a prop guy. I mean, he started out doing Stargate, Independence Day, and Men in Black, and then he moved on to doing the Underworld movies, which are all crap, I like to point out. But I thought this was a step in the right direction for this guy. And considering that he just did a Die Hard movie, I think he has the chops, because this guy's going to be the dude doing the Gears of War movie when it comes out.
Oh boy, another video game movie. Great. That's the last thing we need.
Well, it'd be better than DOA and everything else that we've seen recently. Although, that being said, I liked Doom. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I liked that too.
Okay, just to the audience, they both like Doom, but they don't like Marine or 12 Rounds. What the hell is wrong with you guys?
One has John Cena, one does not.
Well, The Rock isn't that great of a video game action star, so anyways.
Okay, well, yeah, that being said.
As far as the home media releases, the high-definition Blu-ray disc and DVD were released on October 29th of 2007 in the United Kingdom, October 31st in Hungary, November 20th in the United States, and December 12th in Australia. The DVD topped rental sales and charted its opening weekend of release in the United States and Canada. There's an unrated version and theatrical version of the film on the Blu-ray release features the PG-13 theatrical cut, which runs 128 minutes, while the collector's edition DVD includes both versions. Time Magazine's Richard Corliss named it one of the top 10 DVDs of 2007, ranking it at number 10. The DVD for the film was the first to include digital copy of the film, which could be played on computer and could also be imported to several models of portable video players. The Terminator 2 Judgment Day Extreme DVD included a high-definition Windows media file for the film, but its playback was limited to Windows PCs only. Mike Dunn, a president for 20th Century Fox, stated the industry has sold nearly 12 million DVDs to date, and the release of Live Free or Die Hard is the first that allows consumers to move their content to other devices. Now, just talking about the digital copy thing, I think that is a good thing for people that want to watch it on the go or on portable devices and stuff like that, but for me, I would much rather have a DVD.
See, I think it's a good idea to include as a bonus. Don't charge extra for it. I mean, I bought a couple of Blu-rays this past week, and it seems to be just a standard thing now. I mean, I bought Watchmen on Blu-ray this week, 300, Green Lantern, and Dragon Ball, and it seems to be that Fox and Warner Brothers are leading the way with this. They just always give you a digital copy, which I think is really neat. I mean, it helps prevent piracy because it's got that studio imposed thing on it where you can't redistribute the file. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could. I've never tried though, but it's nice to have the option now.
I'm not sure. I think no, I'm not really condoning piracy, but I think if you have, like, if I still had my slip of paper that had the digital copy code on it, on the piece of paper, if I gave that code to Steve and he opened iTunes and entered it into his iTunes on his own computer on his own IP address, possibly he could get it in addition to me already getting it. But
well, no, because you need the actual disc. You need the disc to get the digital copy, and it copies from the disc onto your computer. It just verifies it through iTunes. So it's kind of like music.
That's right. Never mind. Anyways, so just let's go into some final thoughts on the entire franchise. Steve, I guess you can go first.
Overall, this entire series is badass. Bruce Willis and all of the other casting were perfect for the characters that they played. The plots, although some of them had to do with various thefts and terrorism of different sorts, was still made to be awesome action movies between all four. And I don't know, just John McClane's a kick-ass action hero and still holds up to the movies of today and makes pretty much a lot of the modern ones look like dirt by comparison.
Oh, yes, very much so. And I will ask this to both of you. Steve, you can go first because you're still giving your thoughts on it, but do you think the Die Hard franchise will hold up 30 years from now?
Oh yeah.
What about you, Mike?
See, I think aspects of it will. I mean, I think, obviously, in my opinion, Die Hard 1 is going to be used continuously in film schools to teach people how to write movies, how to write screenplays. Die Hard 2, not so much. Die Hard 3 may be a quaint reminder of what the 90s action spectacle could be. And Live Free or Die Hard, yeah, it's a good movie. I really like it, but I think ultimately it's largely forgettable just because there wasn't a lot of major character development or arcs really discussed other than the few plot points wrapping up threads from the previous Die Hard movies. So I think Die Hard 1 will likely end up in the American film vault, just like a few other classic movies have. I think, honestly, it's important to the medium of film to have a film like Die Hard to have action and structure. Just as a franchise, no, I don't think so. But as a one-off, for sure.
Oh, yes, very much so. And there was a scene that I didn't bring up in the fourth film that I really enjoyed was when he basically drove the car into the helicopter. That was so friggin' cool.
With the entire series, do you think this will end up seeing a remake, say 10, 15, maybe even 20 years from now?
God, let's hope not, because all the remakes they're doing now are just stupid.
Yeah, they are beyond dog shit. I mean, Die Hard is one of those movies I really hope is being left alone. I mean, they're redoing RoboCop, and Darren Aronofsky's doing that one. I mean, can you imagine if someone got a hold of the Die Hard movie? I mean, I don't know. Michael Mann's Die Hard. Michael Bay's Die Hard. Okay, that might be kind of cool. But no, this is one movie that needs to be left alone and never remade.
Yes, very much so. I don't know if you've listened to our third episode, which was aired last week. In it, Steve and I talk about some DVD news, and he told me a story that Short Circuit is being remade.
Yes, actually, one of my friends is actually writing the script for it right now, actually.
Are you serious? Oh,
yep.
Really?
Dan Milano from Robot Chicken fame is actually writing it.
And I know they're redoing like Never Ending Story and some various other movies like that as well.
Never-Ending Story I didn't really care for, but anyway.
I don't think the Never-Ending Story is a bad idea.
So I guess
with today's graphics and technology, it'd be better.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be pretty badass.
Oh, yes.
But one thing, Mike, you actually didn't get a chance to touch on with the Die Hard films is a lot of the digital media they've actually inspired. There's been Die Hard arcade games. There's been games for the NES, MS-DOS, Sega Saturn, PC. There's games for the Xbox, PS2, PS1, and the GameCube got an exclusive one called Die Hard Vendetta. So there's been a surprising amount of Die Hard video games. There hasn't been one truly done right outside of Die Hard Trilogy for its time. Was still considered good, and actually during the course of this episode, I went out and bought all the games I didn't have. I actually found Viva Las Vegas Die Hard Trilogy 2 for $4 today at a GameStop. So I guess that was a sign. There was a group that was featured on the Live Free or Die Hard DVD called Guys Night, and they actually did a song. Now, before the movie came out, these guys were musicians on MySpace, and led by Guy Manley, and he wrote a song called Die Hard. Him and his friends recorded it, and Fox actually approached them to do a fourth verse for Live Free or Die Hard. And we've played the song on Twig a number of times. They've actually gave us an exclusive radio edit, and it was the last song we played, I think, on 90.1 FM one year.
Yes,
and
I believe you sent me the non-edited version, and of course, seeing as how pretty much all of our podcasts here at Geekcast Radio are tagged explicit, we will be playing the non-edited version.
Yeah, and if you guys want to check out more cool movie themes, look for Guys Night on YouTube, or look up Holy Light of Demons. They've done music for Starship Troopers, Evil Dead. The Dark Knight one is a particularly awesome song. And I think that's really cool when a movie franchise can inspire people to write music like that and just have it be so goddamn catchy.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
So, yeah, there's some little things you just maybe didn't know. There was also a line of toys produced by NECA, which featured John McClane on the roof with the MP5. There's been other figures done throughout the years. I think there's Die Hard Mini-Mates available. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, there's a little bit of Die Hard everywhere you look. And, in fact, if you look in certain cartoons, you can spot Die Hard references if you are looking hard enough.
Oh, yes. And before we get into the closing, and we will mention all the Twitter stuff in the closing, I would like to give Mike the opportunity to basically plug his stuff. So, what do you got going on there, Birdman?
Well, right now we're actually restructuring Twig to do less is more. We're going to be doing a few fewer shows than what we normally do, but we're going to bring up the level of quality to make things more consistently awesome than just consistently okay. But the really big announcement is we've got a lot of really cool shows going on. We're going to be doing Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu, Steve Jackson's GURPS. I'm actually working on a special right now involving storm chasing. I'll be talking to some professors from the University of Michigan as well as a Miami area storm chaser. So we're going to be doing disaster movies as we move into September. A lot of really cool things. I'm still doing work over at thegameheroes.com with Handsome Tom talking about video games on the prototype. And recently I've been actually writing articles for the BPPS.com. That stands for Bits, Bytes, Pixels, and Sprites. And I just wrote an article on the music industry in terms of video gaming. So that's what I got going on, and obviously doing 11:50 a.m. WIMA, where I talk about the latest in video game releases. So check that out.
Has there been any more development on Twig taking over G4 TV?
I haven't had a chance to contact them right now. In fact, we're just going to take this rest of the year, we're going to take Twig back to formula. We're going to have a lot more fun like we used to back in our 90.1 FM days, and just make things kick ass for you, the fans. So G4, it'll come eventually when we're ready for it. So I want to make sure Twig is the best it can be before we take over the world. I got to make sure that all the clips are loaded and the nukes are ready to fire.
Very, very cool. And we are going to move on to the closing after you hear the Die Hards.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower to meet with Holly. He came to get her back and to be her man, but Hans and his buddies fucked up the plan, and that's about when everything went sour at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die as hard as we can. No one dies harder than John McClane, even when his wife's stuck on a plane, about to crash into the Potomac River on the eve of Christmas. And airport security kicked him out, but John McClane is just too damn proud, and nothing could have made him not deliver, cause that's his business. And with a lot of fights and gunplay, he blew that plane up on the runway. And with a little help from Alan, Holly's plane could land. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die as hard as we can. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. No one dies harder than John McClane, saving all the passengers on the train. When Simon wasn't clear with his intentions, it was just a distraction. And there was no way McClane could know that Hans Gruber was Simon's bro. And that's what made it Die Hard with a vengeance, with Samuel Jackson. And the good cop wouldn't miss this, even though it wasn't Christmas. He didn't get any help from Alan, but only in part 3. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die as hard as we can. Finally we're back with John McClane. Now we got a choice and the choice is plain. We can live free or we can die hard as we can. From taking on a terrorist he's never met, to taking on an F-35 jet with the greatest car explosions by far. They sure look sweet, man, and we know what the basic gist is. There ain't no Alan and it's not Christmas. We don't know, but we're pretty sure that John McClane kicks ass. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die hard. We're gonna die, 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 die as hard as we can. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
All right, thank you for joining us here on Movie Week in Review. There are several ways to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show. The first is you can visit www.geekcastradio.com and find all the other GCRN podcasts there. The second is you can stop by www.PrediconEmpire.com/CafeSpark, which is our forums, and get all your GCRN Transformers discussion topics there. The third is you can leave the show feedback on iTunes. Please do this. We need reviews. The fourth is you can visit earth-2.net forums and find our threads of the shows over there under the self-promotion section. And the fifth is the email address, which is gcrnmwire@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. The show name there is GCRNMwire. Mine is TFG1 Podcast. And Mike, what is your Twitter?
Mine is at Birdman Dodd.
And Steve, what is yours?
At SCP-21.
And we hope you enjoyed this episode of M-Wire and wish that you'll join us next time when we'll be talking about the National Treasure films. For now, I am TFG1 Mike with
Steve Megatron Phillips.
And
Mike the Birdman Dodd.
I was going to say, and our super special guest.
Sorry.
That's right. In the immortal words of Optimus Prime, transform and roll out, and thank you for listening. Until next time.
Hey guys, for M-Wire Movie Week in Review, I've been Mike the Birdman Dodd, and obviously we've been talking about the Die Hard franchise for the last hour and change. So, in topicalness and coolness, as I always say when I sign off on air, live free or die hard. We'll catch you guys next time.